I was going with the revenge porn being stricken from Google search results.
But you have to ask for it.
Yeah, you have to request it. It's just like the right to be forgotten implementation over in Europe.
They do that with, I didn't know this, but according to USA Today, they've always done that with bank account and Social Security. So if your search is turning up your social, you can ask them to take it down. I
didn't know that either. I was curious why that wasn't a bigger deal, like finding someone's signature and their social.
Right.
You could open up everything in their name, and I'm sure people have scanned it and ended up online in forums by accident. So they're automatically
child pornography has had that policy as well.
Yeah, that would make sense. But this is if your ex is putting up nude pictures of you and as revenge, you can fill out a form which is not yet available but will be soon, saying, "Hey, I did not give permission for this imagery to be on the internet. Would you please take down the search results?" And I think that's a good thing.
Agreed.
If it's not on Google, it doesn't exist.
And I like the idea that you have. It seems like for such a long time there was a very hands-off, like outside of the realm of morality and ethics attitude about the power of this technology to do great harm.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we're just an algorithm, right? Just doing what the machines tell us to do. Like that's how you end up with some pretty bad outcomes from time to time. So for Google to be saying like, look, this information, it's our job. I'm paraphrasing. Like their mission is to organize the world's information, but it's really to organize the world's valuable information. And this information has no value. It only has harm attached to it. So it's not a good look for them to be connected to a place where you can go to find ways to hurt people and destroy their reputation.
But don't you think it opens up the door to the right to be forgotten in a broader way? Like, okay, well, that's harmful, but what about that article about me that said I bribed a judge 20 years ago? Shouldn't I be able to take that down too? Not that I did. I'm not saying me.
Well, I think that puts the argument where it's supposed to be, which is saying what is the line between what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed. I mean, just like freedom of expression says you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, there is a line.
There is a line.
Where you say you can't say everything.
Right.
We try to make it as abundant as possible. And I think Google is saying revenge porn is on that side of the line. There is no value to it.
No one would question that.
Right to be forgotten.
Right.
Sometimes there is still value to that because it's actual facts. It's not necessarily libelous or slanderous. It's just old. And I think I'm sympathetic to the argument where they're saying, I think you should have a higher burden of proof that something like that should be removed from search results.
What Tom said, everything, cosign.
Apparently, Jackie Spear from California is about to introduce federal legislation that would make it illegal. It's not illegal, revenge porn. And John Oliver's going to, now this is really going to carry a lot of weight. John Oliver will do it on Sunday and last week tonight.
I think in tech and around some of these issues in particular, the kind of slippery slope argument gets a little oversold. And I say this as someone who takes it very, very seriously. I mean, actually, my background in university is not tech. It was political science and actually constitutional law specifically. So the concept of slippery slope and the First Amendment and all those sorts of things is something that I certainly understand very well and rings very true. That said, I feel like the argument of this is a step down a slippery slope is taken so far to the extreme. The reality is everything is on the slope.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's kind of insulting to suggest that no one has the judgment to figure out where and when we can go. I mean, so you literally get arguments of people arguing that private corporations should not put some sort of limit on truly egregious, awful behavior or speech in the name of a slippery slope argument that, one, is nonsensical if you actually back up and think about it, two, is kind of insulting, and three, private corporations aren't covered by the First Amendment anyway. So, I mean, good on Google for doing this, and good on the taking it a little easy on the slippery slope argument.
I'm not making the slippery slope argument, really.
That's fine. It's kind of a hobby horse for me. I was glad to jump on it.
But I'm going to jump on it. I will kind of take the point of view just to give you more to push against. You can certainly make the case that if there's editorial discretion of any kind, if it's not completely algorithmic, then that changes the whole complexion of the matter. Then Where does that end? Where does editorial discretion end? Shouldn't it be entirely algorithmic, and there should be no human intervention at all? If in all,
I don't know that. I don't know why that.
In other words, address revenge porn at the source. Why does Google have to change its algorithm? Take down the, certainly go to the sites where it's up there, and as they did recently, throw them in jail.
Because Google's a point of leverage and can actually make a difference. I mean, if we didn't act except at the root source of every problem, we wouldn't do anything, right? We wouldn't have energy if we felt that way. We don't fly to the sun to get it. Like, we have to have intermediate methods of getting things done, and Google represents a major gateway, and they've made a call that says, look, we're not the cause of the problem, but we contribute by creating a market for this. Search is a market. People look up folks' information, and if this is what they find on someone, which is only an act of malice, not the fact-based journalistic stuff that Tom was talking about earlier, then it has no value. And for Google to be like, oh, we didn't start the fire, does that mean you don't help put it out?
Yeah, and I think there's also an argument to be made. And hi, Ben, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hey, Tom. Tom Merritt, Ben Thompson.
I think there's an argument to be made too that this is Google admitting that their algorithm isn't perfect, and that if their algorithm was perfect, it would be able to tell that this was valueless content and kick it out, but it can't. And so you have to put a patch on it, a human patch for the time being.
Well, and that idea is the idea that the best world is one that doesn't require human intervention. No, that's the Skynet world. We've seen that documentary so many times before. And I don't know that that's the highest level of like creative achievement, is one where no people are required. Like, that shouldn't be the goal.
You guys are pushing me. You're pushing me in the opposite direction now. The more I hear this, the more I don't like this idea. I feel like if you're going to say, I'm going to make a search engine, what you should do is make a search engine that indexes what's on the net, regardless of content, because that's what's on the net. Your job is to reflect what's on the net and give the best results, not to editorialize. And then if you don't like something that's on the net, you should go to where it is on the net, not take the search engine to task.
So there's two issues, Leo, and for the record, I'm very sympathetic. I mean, I had a similar position recently, and so I get it. I think there's
there's plenty of stuff I would love to take down on the net. Everybody knows that. So I'm arguing against my own interest, but I think it's in all of our interest that Google be an independent aggregator of whatever, a reflection of what's on the net, and not with any human editorial intervention, because editorial intervention always introduces bias.
So the problem, though,
so does algorithmic intervention. Bias is. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
Well, yeah, actually, Ben, you go, and then I think that's an interesting point, Baratunde. You get the next one. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I think maybe we're going the same point. I mean, who writes the algorithms?
Exactly. Other algorithms.
Guy named Adam.
The truth is, one, humans write algorithms, and so there is going to be some level of bias already in them. Two, Google has already made this decision to censor some sort of content. They have a long-standing, as noted, policy to not show child pornography, for example. They also don't show certain piracy results. Some of them because they have to, some of them because they choose not to. There's a whole list of stuff. They choose not to feature sites that link to themselves and have all that sort of stuff, and the various, Penguin updates and Panda and Peregrine and whatever the names are. The reality is that the search algorithm itself is a very human endeavor, and we can't pretend that it is inherently objective when it's not. More broadly, we need to deal with the world as it is, not with a theoretical world where there's an impartial computer answering our questions. The reality is that in a world of infinite information, the point that organizes that information, for better or worse, has unbelievable power and leverage. And frankly, in Google's interest, if they don't take the responsibility, they shouldn't be surprised if governments take the responsibility for them. So this is actually probably a self-interested move on Google's part.
I agree with that. But that's kind of a politically realistic point of view. I disagree. I think an algorithm can be completely objective. In fact, PageRank at its fundamental root is. It takes no account of the content at all.
No, but
it merely says if people are linking to this page, it's highly ranked. The higher the rank of the pages that are linking to the page, the higher the rank of the page. If you just do that, that's purely algorithmic without human intervention, and it is completely objective, and there's no editorializing.
So the editorial happened when someone decided that page rank equaled important. Like the word rank is a human value that says a page is important because of this algorithmic definition of inbound, outbound links, etc. So the pure doesn't belong in this discussion. There's no idea of purity here because someone created that. It's like saying a test, an academic test measures intelligence. It measures a certain type of intelligence. PageRank measures a certain type of importance, but it can be argued that there are other relevant factors for the position of a web page and the result for a certain term that PageRank doesn't capture at all. So PageRank is very limited human value imposed from the source, like the code itself has values imposed by a thinking.
Well, it may not be perfect, but it's better than having a human decide.
But Leo, okay, if you're going to say it's not perfect, but it's better than having a human decide.
Yeah.
What I would say is it's better to have a human decide to not include revenge porn than to not. I mean, the point of the fact of the matter is, once you've established it's not perfect, then you're making judgment calls. And once you're making judgment calls,
that's why I say you leave.
That's what I mean.
I agree with you. Revenge porn is obviously wrong. But the point is, as soon as this is the slippery slope argument you hate so much, but as soon as you say abandon the completely computer-based algorithm and start saying, well, except this isn't so good and this isn't so good, that's very risky because that's a judgment call.
But the problem is that argument only holds moral water if you start with the assumption that the original judgment is perfect.
Yeah,
it is perfect if it merely reflects
it's perfect according to certain parameters.
I mean, perfect, right? There's no achieving that is impossible.
I think PageRank is pretty amazing.
So that's
you're not going to get any.
I understand Google's abandoning.
I'm not telling you what you think, but I can't imagine a world where you think that they happen to stumble into the absolute across all time best and most perfect way to determine the page results.
Maybe there's a better way to do it, but I would say so then
it can't be perfect. If there's something better, then this is not perfect.
But I would say what's absolutely imperfect is imposing some sort of moral judgment or moral compass, because that changes. That is highly subjective. Whereas you can pick let's just pick an algorithm. It doesn't matter if it's PageRank, but there is some method that I'm using that is, the point of PageRank is to try to determine which pages are the most important, which pages are the least important, and then give it in order according to your search term. So we want to perfect that. We want to make that better and better. But the minute you say, except, let's take these results out and let's take these results out, now your search algorithm isn't showing an accurate picture of the web. Well, if the web is full of crap, which it is, by the way, who's going to decide what to take out?
Well, the except started the moment that they pulled out link farms. They said, that's not a valuable result, and PageRank was making a mistake by ranking those, so we have to tweak. Then they pulled out bank account numbers and child pornography and now revenge porn. So really, the conversation to me isn't about whether there should be human intervention in the algorithm, because there has been all the way back to the beginning. The question is, are they intervening in the right places? So,
exactly.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, are you making a moral judgment? And is revenge porn or child pornography a moral judgment, or just a class that they say, you know what, if we had the perfect algorithm, it would eliminate that on its own?
Yeah, I mean, of course, look, algorithms it's made of people like everything else, but there is the goal that you're trying to achieve with the algorithm, and one would be to try to accurately reflect, however we do it, the actual state of the net. That, to me, seems the right and good way to create a search engine. The other would be to say, let's show the results on the net of stuff we don't disagree with. Whatever that is that you don't disagree with. The fact that we can all agree that revenge porn is bad does not mean that it should be abandoned, because that is, just because we all agree about it, we might all agree that African-American people are all bad And that has happened in time. Should the algorithm be adjusted? No. It should not be based on that kind of judgment. What you're trying to do is mathematically accurately reflect that data pool that is the net. However creepy it is, let's have an accurate search result. That's all I'm saying.
We haven't had that for years.
Yeah.
Then let's aim at that, right?
But there's a world where there was a great TED talk that came out this year about our whole perception of anything is imperfect. It's incomplete. We don't see like infrared without some extra tools. Like we don't.
Right.
The idea that we could accurately reflect the net, like the word accurate and the word net, are both very subjective, and hard to wrap some comprehensive case around. And I think a pure, quote unquote, pure search engine can exist, but to Tom's point, it would actually be a pile of crap.
Yes, because that's what's on the net. But then we should fix what's on the net, not what's the search algorithm.
No, but Leo, it's not just because that's what's on the net. It's because people would intervene to manipulate and get, like, the top result would be coupons and porn sites and discount codes.
Well, then let's fix the net.
But you, okay, yeah, I would vote that we move on the subject.
Okay.
I think
we've all made our points. Exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Because you can find it all in Bing.
You pushed me into it. I wasn't going to push so hard. It is all in Bing, right?
Well, but you did. You pushed. It was good because I think you pushed hard enough that you ended up in an absurd place, and I think we all know that.
I disagree entirely.
Which is what that is, actually.
I think what you really...
You, Leo, accurately reflected the internet right now.